All right, it's time for us to start incorporating these if statements into our methods. Um, now, if you have an if statement that, sorry, if you have a method that needs to return something and it returns different things depending on certain conditions, you will have multiple return statements. Now, you have to be careful because depending on how you set this up, even though you have return, it may say that you have a missing return error. And the reason that is imagine you have a statement or a method, and it says, if this is true, return this, and there was no else. Well, sure, you had a return statement, but there's a whatever chance that nothing will wind up being returned, and that's going to cause an error whenever you try to use that value that was returned and nothing was returned. So Java gives you this preemptive error saying, hey, you need another return statement because there's a chance that nothing's going to get returned and your program's going to break. Java likes to have you fail during compile time rather than runtime. Okay, basically while your program is trying to be ready versus whenever you're actually running the program. So let me give you an example of a method that works. So if you have something like this, we've got these three branches, this if, this else if, and this else. And all three of them have a return statement attached. And that's great. That's going to get us where we need to go. But look at this. Okay. We have an if statement with a return, an if statement with a return, and an if statement with a return. Now, in this particular case, all three of these are going to be mutually exclusive. And if we're not visiting the other two, we'll visit the third one. But Java doesn't really know that. So there's nothing guaranteeing that we're going to have a return. So this is going to give us a missing return error. Another way that does work, we could have if this is true, return positive. If this is true, return positive. And then instead of like an else at the end, we can literally just say, if nothing else returned, if you're still here, okay, then go ahead and return this last thing. Okay, so if the first one wasn't true, the next one wasn't true. If you're still here, go ahead and return something there at the end. Okay, another one that would work, if the first one is true, return, and then if this one is false, then one of these is going to run. Okay, either the if or the else is going to run. Which one you use is really up to you. You just want to kind of make sure it stays readable. If it really is three branches, it might be easier to write it like this, where they can just see, okay, we've got our if, else, if, else. That way they can see that there's three possibilities and each one has a return attached. Here's an example of another one that wouldn't work. If, else if, else if. Now, in this case, we really have covered all three possible cases, but again, we don't have this default case in case all of these are false. So because there's no default return here, they're not sure that we've covered all of our bases, and this is going to give us a missing return error. So if you're going to branch and you're going to have returns, you need to make sure that there's a return at each branch, including a default branch. So that default could either be an else or something that's just outside of the if statement entirely. So that's how you're going to keep yourself from having this error.